Hi, my name is Kiran Sethi. I'm actually a designer by profession. I graduated with an education in design, and I had absolutely no plans of changing the world. And then I became a mother. My whole world changed. And I think witnessing firsthand an experience in education that diminishes a child's identity, makes them only compliant and good, was just not good enough for me. So 21 years ago, I remember taking my child out of the school and saying, there has to be another way. And that's really how my entry into education happened, by putting design back into education. So that's really a little bit about the work I've done. I think the basic disconnect between having a child just a recipient of learning and not a participant of learning has been the biggest story of education till now. So I think design thinking invites the child into the conversation. So for me, starting the school, using design thinking principles to invite the user's voice into the solution was fantastic. Because I think we were learning together. I didn't come from education. They didn't come from design. Together, we were creating this wonderful narrative where the children were really guiding the way. They were sharing with us how they love to learn. We were learning from them, of course. So I feel that I think teachers should be designers at the heart, because it is such an optimistic way of looking at the world. It is not about being tired, being frustrated, being angry. It is about being joyful. It is about being creative. And I feel design thinking and the design mindset gives you that optimism. So optimism is such a key word that we need in education. So for me, that really was the biggest, I would say, secret sauce in the work I've done. Yeah. I think the key thing that continues to inspire me is that I don't know anything, or I don't know enough. I think the opportunity to learn every day, because every day you'll find a child will bring a question to you that you had absolutely no idea about, and will surprise you with the way they've understood something, or amaze you with the questions they're asking. So it's such a eternal quest for understanding. There are no answers. I think in education, it's all about asking the right questions. So if you keep asking the questions, you'll always be on this beautiful journey of a quest, a seeking. So I love to be a seeker. I love waking up to the world every day and saying, okay, what is today going to bring? What are the questions that are going to come in the way? So I feel very blessed to be in a journey where the questions are guiding my next day. So it's been wonderful. Yeah. Well, I think it's not just in my school, but I think it's the law of life. Everywhere in the world, when a child is born, in the first 2 years, they are telling us, look at me, I can. Right? Even you, Edlin, when you were a baby, you first were crawling, then you sat, then you stood up, then you walked, then you laughed, then you talked, all in your first 2 years. And just when they're telling us, I can, we send them to school and we say, now keep quiet for 15 years. Right? So that's really what the I can mindset is, to continue to believe and trust what children bring to the table. We keep thinking, oh, you're too young. Oh, not now, later, when you grow up. So I think children are telling us, no, today I have the power that's within me and I have to just be nurtured. It's like that seed. All the magic is inside the seed. You plant it, you nurture it, and a beautiful tree emerges. That's exactly what is the potential in each one of us. And children are telling it to us every time. And yet we don't believe. We don't trust. We say, no, not now. Now you have to sit down and listen to me. And we don't listen to them. So I think the I can mindset starts with the ability to trust and listen and love. And then you just have to sit back and see the amazing magic that happens with children. And with Riverside, and then of course with Design for Change, we've continued to see that same power in children across the world. Wherever there has been an adult who listens and believes, children will say, yes, I can. right? Because an adult is saying, yes, you can. But if I keep telling you for 15 years, no, not now. No, you're not good enough. No, you don't know enough. No, you are a girl, you're a boy, you're this, you're that. You're going to start doubting and say, okay, maybe I am all of that. But if I just for every day tell you, Adeline, you're wonderful, you're strong, you believe, yes, you can, I'm with you. It is a natural way we will believe in who we are, right? So that mindset is built over time. And so we have 15 years with our children. Imagine the power and opportunity. And yet we don't take that. We say, no, 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 only we will give them one grade. So I think for me, the I can mindset was that power to believe and to trust the child every day, not once a month, but every day. That's how the mindset gets created. Well, I think you're right when you said that maybe in the early years, teachers are a lot more, they have more freedom to decide and to create a system where get children to engage with play and with exploration. I think we keep confusing sometimes that content is going to be king. I think, especially in the time we live in now, content can be available on a website, right? We have it all on the website. You can have it on an app. So then why are you needed? What is the role of a teacher? If I can only put up a website and I can get all my information there, what do I need to teach my children? I think the real role of a teacher now is facilitating attitudes, mindsets, skills. How do I use this content? How do I make it matter? How is it purposeful? How will it change the world? We never trust our children with content to change the world. We tell them this is for the test. You study and you'll get a mark. And then we compete with each other. Oh, who got 2 marks more than me? Who got 2 marks more than me? So I think if teachers can continue to share the purpose of education and learning, not for the test, but for life, to be able to navigate the world, to change it, to make it kinder, that communication should be something that children listen every day. That is, I keep saying, it is not, even though you're sitting for the exam, that's fine, that's not, that, but that's just one part of your life. But can you build a foundation that you are here for a larger purpose, a greater peace, and that your role matters? I feel they don't hear it enough, just like they don't hear even parents saying, I love you enough. They don't hear that enough. We're not being courageous to tell our children, I love you. I'm here for you. I believe in you. And I realize now that, especially running Riverside for 21 years, that you have to say it again and again and again, because children forget. There's so many other influences now with social media saying, oh my God, you're not thin enough, you're not fair enough, you're not tall enough, you're not beautiful enough. So much social media saying you're not good enough, right? And we have to be able to give the reverse. No, you're here today, you're important, and you're brave, and you can do this. And everything you learn here is going to matter. Not just for tests. So I think I have realized that when you say something again and again and again, we start believing that. And we must communicate to our children the reason we run a school, or we're in a school, or we are in front of them. Because I've realized one thing, even though children will not listen to you, they will imitate you. You see, right? So be worthy of being imitated. Say that the language that children will inspire, smile more, put joy. It's contagious, I keep saying, right? It's contagious. Whatever I have, you will get. And now we have to make it cantagious. I cantagious, right? You have to build the power in children to say, this is important. This is important for my life, not for my test, not for my exam. So we have to change the narrative, and we have to do it every single day. Wherever a teacher has the opportunity, tell them why this matters, why your language matters. Because the words you learn can heal somebody or can even hurt somebody. So how will you use your words? With courage, with conviction, not because you have to write an essay. That is not the purpose for learning language, right? The purpose of language is to be able to heal somebody, or you can use it to hurt somebody. So when we keep telling them the higher reason to learn, I think teachers will make a massive impact on children's lives. I'm not saying, again, I want to, again, it's not that it's not important, but it is not the only reason to learn. I think somewhere we remove every other piece and we tell them this is the only reason. And I think then they become cynical. Then children become, disinterested. And that's the crucial time when they're getting ready for life. And I think to balance it with equal amounts of validation and purpose will make a very big difference. Well, I think, the idea of assessment, unfortunately, in most schools has always been marks, right? You have a grade or you have marks. And there's not enough emphasis on the plurality of the identity of a child. I can be so many things, and marks can be one of my things. I keep saying you can be markable or remarkable, right? And if you're remarkable, there are so many parts of your life that must be valued. That's why they say evaluation. What are you valuing when you evaluate something, right? And the evaluation must be on multiple aspects. So at Riverside, we have multiple ways. We have portfolios, we have presentations, we have their personal projects. We also have the marks because our children sit for the final exam. But along with it, we give children multiple ways for self-awareness. I can be a good friend, I can be an ornithologist, I can be brave, I can be great in mathematics, I can be so many things. And I must, as a school, as a teacher, as your ally, observe and give you opportunities to show the world this is who you are. So we have the adolescent curriculum, we have this identity curriculum. In so many ways, if you ask a child today, tell me a little bit about you, they'll be able to say at least 5-6 things about who they are. Otherwise, what happens is we're not self-aware. So I feel if we are able to offer opportunities for a child through their learning journey to keep reflecting on who they are. Reflection is a very, very important process. And at Riverside, that becomes part of everything that we do. At the month end, at the weekend, every single day, we have something called closing the loop. At the end of the day, we just reflect on how the day was. So in many, many ways, we're always having a growth mindset. We're building the ability to think of ourselves as a work in progress. So I think that's super important. And I feel wherever I have seen schools who've done a little bit more work on reflection, you'll find that children are a lot more confident about who they are, what their strengths are, what they feel they can do. So I feel you're right, assessment must be the big piece that we must change if we want to move away from a program or a learning that is just about sitting and being observers. So I feel yes, and I think good work is happening around that area now soon. Actually, this identity curriculum was designed by the first batch of children when they reached 8th standard, the grade 8. We don't have exams till 7th. Right? And when they entered the grade 8, there was a newspaper article that one of my boys brought to school one day saying, ma'am, there was data about children committing suicide after they got their marks. And he was surprised. He said, why would anybody want to kill themselves? It was just shocking for him because in many ways he felt his own self-worth was so strong that a mark here and there was not going to push him to such a desperate decision to make. And the children got together to try to figure out what is it? Why is it that certain places children feel so sad and so desperate that the only way out is to commit suicide? How lonely must a child feel? How much does a child feel, right? So the identity curriculum was crafted as a way of series of explorations and experiences the children do over the year to help constantly reflect on who they are. So they did something called the identity t-shirt. So they write, one of the things they do before is called the legacy. So they put together everything. So they ask parents, peers, and themselves about 10 things about me that you think I'm about. And then they collect it. They're quite surprised sometimes. Oh, I didn't know my mother thought this, or I didn't know my friend thought this. It's a beautiful idea to see yourself from different places. Then they take all those words and they choose 10 that they feel they are. And then they created a t-shirt where all these words were put on the t-shirt. And then what happens is when they start walking around in the school with that, lots of people say, oh, hi, Ayush, I didn't know you were this. I love this. So it started first by iterating this idea. Then they do an identity painting. It's like the Piet Mondrian painting. They look at themselves and what percentage of them is that color. So they create a beautiful painting for themselves. Then they did a painting for the class. Who are we as a class? Then they do something called the introspective letter. They write a letter to themselves and open it at the end of the year to see how they've grown. So they actually created these beautiful experiences that became the identity curriculum. And at the end of it, they were able to see with confidence who they are. In fact, it became so great that they went to different schools and were talking to other schools about it. Today, every grade 8 goes through the identity curriculum. So all our children, but it was created by children because they realized that there were so many more things, but nobody was highlighting and telling them there were these things. And when they started discovering like an onion who they were, they wanted everybody to know that. So it became a beautiful curriculum now. And at Riverside, every batch that reaches that year does it through the year. So I think it's things like this, right? Children will tell you, this is who we are. This is how we want to be valued. We're so many things, you know, and the identity curriculum became designed from 2008 was our first batch who did it. You know, a little bit about where we are today after COVID, maybe a little bit about the work I've done. I'll try to show some examples, but I think more, I feel that I want to be able to respond to questions the audience might have. So I was in fact talking to Praveen that it might be a great idea if you receive the questions beforehand, saying, if I had a chance to ask Kiran 3 questions, what would I ask? If you can collect all of those questions and we can, you know, put it sorted and say, these are the 10 questions the audience wants to hear. I'd love for them, as if I'm responding to them, not just give them information, but respond and have a conversation. So for me, I now realize more and more, I love the idea of having a conversation with people so that just to learn and to share with Singapore. I love the country. It'll be a long time after which I'm coming back. I have wonderful friends there. So I think I'm so looking forward, maybe not for me to come and share, but to learn more from everybody. So I'm super excited.